Where's your dad?
No idea.
When's the last time you saw him?
1977. He had his bags packed by the front door, and he picked them up, put them in the back of his car, and drove away. Last time I ever saw him.
Oh my gosh. My dad would never do that. He loved me.
And this is a movie with Zach Galifianakis and Robert Downey Jr., where they play two mixed-matched people who have to take a road trip.
Yeah,
Zach
nothing like planes, trains, and automobiles.
No, nothing except that I guess it's two bigger assholes in this movie, and they are assholes in their own different way. You got Robert Downey Jr. playing the straight guy in this movie who just wants to get home to see his newborn baby being born. About to be born.
About to be hatched.
The birth of his first child.
The death and birth of his first child.
With Michelle Monaghan. Baby or not, I just want to get home to Michelle Monaghan.
He wants to get home in time to see his baby being born. And right from the very beginning, when he runs into Zach Galifianakis, his character, things just go bad. I mean, the guy's knocking over his luggage, knocks off the door of the limousine that they drove to the airport, gets into they get on the plane. He happens to be sitting behind him, and just by this guy being a force of nature, Zach Galifianakis, that is, Robert Downey Jr. ends up being on the no-fly zone because he's
the no-fly list.
No-fly zone. Hey, he was in that zone too because you see him get on the plane.
They didn't turn him into Cuba
because he ends up having to tell Zach Galifianakis not to say bomb or gun on the plane, but because he keeps saying it, they both end up getting kicked off the plane.
Yeah, and of course Robert Downey Jr. gets shot by a air marshal with a rubber bullet. You're like, wait, now come on now. I mean, he might be going a little far.
Well, it could happen.
The idea is to have a set of circumstances happen that kind of domino to get them to the point where they have to drive together across country, go on a road trip to get from Atlanta to California.
Because otherwise you don't have a movie.
Exactly.
And in this day and age, the only way to make that happen is to have a bunch of preposterous stuff happen all on the road.
Oh, yeah.
To where everyone is an asshole who won't listen, like no matter how well you can explain, like, look, this is what happened here, this is what happened here.
Yes.
They all got to go like, no, don't care. You have to ride with this guy.
We need to make a brief pit stop in Birmingham.
Actually, our next scheduled stop is Shreveport. That's where we rest for the night.
It's only 10 minutes away. It'll take 2 seconds.
Let's just see if we can make it there. Why do you make a pit stop in Birmingham, Alabama? We got to make time.
Because I left my glaucoma medication on the plane.
Wait. You're what? You mean your weed?
It's medical marijuana, Peter.
No, it's weed.
Why do you have to make everything so dark?
It's not dark. It's weed. And I'm saying I really don't want to stop and buy drugs. Is that okay?
You know what? I didn't want to play this card. Certainly not this early. But guess what? Guess who's got the Subaru Impreza? Me. Guess who's got all the money? Me. Guess who's got a winning personality? Me. What do you have? You have a nice hairline. Fine. You have a strong jaw. Fine. But I got to tell you something, mister. Your personality needs some work. My God. Okay, it's like I've got a mind. Holy moly, it's like I'm traveling with a child.
Did you use the restroom?
Good point. I need to take a pee-pee.
There's no Greyhound or Amtrak in this world.
Right.
Well, no, here's the deal.
There's 8 billion solutions that could have happened to keep Robert Downey Jr. from being forced to ride with Zach Galifianakis. But the movie approaches none of them.
Okay.
Well, he's assumably an intelligent guy, not Zach, but Robert Downey Jr.
Well, with this guy, just after what you've gone through in a matter of minutes. Yeah, minutes. Robert Downey Jr. can't find his wallet, and he has no money or anything, and so just because of that reason alone, he has to ride in a car with this maniac who is on his way just, in the same direction, coincidentally. And you're thinking he could have stayed at the airport and had money wired to him from his wife.
Yeah,
well, he didn't have an ID.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You can still do that.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. And plus, if you have a friend somewhere, there's like the problem with this movie is like they want you to accept this and go on this ride. But all you can think about is like, there's no way. Like, you're supposed to put yourself in his shoes, but all you do is you sit there going like, there's no way I would do this.
Yeah.
I would do A, B, C, D, E, F, or G before I would get in the car with this guy, and then all this stuff happens.
And you figure it's funny because what you guys are talking about, it sounds like that would be something I would be thinking about, and it would honestly distract me from the movie.
It does.
Yeah.
It actually
I'm
does.
not the kind of guy who gets pissed off enough at somebody to like jump on him and start hitting him. But with his character, almost anybody, Mother Teresa would have jumped on him and started beating him in the face after like the first 10 minutes of this film.
Tell me.
He is so bad. He's one of those characters who's like, even past Will Ferrell's man-child characters, he is just fucking retarded. And there's no way anyone like this would be allowed to have a driver's license to go about in day-to-day existence.
No, he would have adult supervision. He would have some sort of care taken for him.
He would have to, because he could not have gotten as old as he is.
It's when he's like, even if you didn't get mad and blow up at him, your brain, just your survival mode would kick in. You just be like, I can't ride with this guy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be very calm about it and say, hey man, I wish you the best of luck.
But I'll stay overnight at a Greyhound bus.
So Gandhi would go fucking Jackie Chan.
I mean,
give Fringe a chance.
You would just naturally separate yourself from this person. Even like, okay, there's a point early on where he says like, okay, fine, I'll take the ride. And you're like, you want to go at the movie, so you're like, okay, sure. You're like, I would go with it. But early on, and you see this in the trailer where Zach Galifianakis falls asleep and the car flips over. You would be done.
After that, you would be like, this guy is going to get me killed. I mean, you would know that right at the airport that this guy would get you killed. It's amazing that this guy's still alive. The only explanation that you have is that he's one of those rare, stupid people that God feels so sorry for that he spares him any kind of danger that he's in. You have a character like Robert Downey Jr. in this movie who his nature is to be very high-strung. He has no patience with anyone, and there's no reason why he would not be able to deal with this guy on a road trip. I mean, it's just unbelievable that he lasts this long with this guy. Even he has so many chances to get away, conveniently get away, and he doesn't take them.
Even nicely get away. You know, there's times early on where like, well, he could just run and take this guy's shit and doesn't do it because he may be an asshole, but he's not a monster. Okay?
Right. Now that happened,
But there are lots of opportunities for him to just walk away. Anybody would just walk away.
I have to do that.
The thing is that the movie, unlike, once again, and you can't help but compare it to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because it hits plot-wise quite a few of the exact same points.
I was curious about that.
There's no subtlety here.
None.
It's like Zach Galifianakis at one point, he wakes up, or Robert Downey Jr. wakes up in the car. They're sleeping. You know, they have to pass out because they can't get a hotel room, and he's masturbating in the car. Okay, that's the kind of movie that this is. And then they look over, and the dog is masturbating. I'm not even kidding.
It was at least funny because I'm laughing right now just thinking about it.
Outside of that masturbation joke, most of the jokes you've seen in the trailer. I mean, like they show, as often as they show in those trailers, and they're long. It's surprising how those were the best jokes. I also kept thinking maybe Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the best choice for this role because he's playing such a straight man, but he's got the kind of comedy skills to play more of a comedic role.
No, I think he was perfect for that because that asshole character he played as Tony Stark, I thought worked to his advantage here. But the other thing is that could be annoying to some people too. Not to mention that this is a world full of assholes. I mean, there's a lot of cameos in this movie.
That's true. Almost everybody in the movie is an asshole.
There's a cameo by the RZA, from the Wu-Tang Clan. There's a little scene with Juliette Lewis, and I mean,
they're all assholes.
Well, Juliette Lewis actually was probably the nicest character in the film. Can you believe that? But everybody else that they encounter, there's not one time where they don't say something like "you an ugly motherfucker," or "fuck you," or "asshole."
Was
the whole movie that kind of mildly entertained me.
Yeah, her scene's funny.
Kids are the asshole.
Yeah. And Robert Downey Jr. responds to that the way people who watch these movies where you see the kids get by and adults have to say, well, I can't do anything because they're kids. Robert Downey Jr. don't play that shit.
It's probably the biggest laugh of the movie.
Everybody's going to dislike this movie more than me because the thing that worked for me is watching Robert Downey Jr. play the straight guy. I mean, this is unbelievable.
You identified with him because you're always picking up mutants.
Well, it reminded me of two things. Like, my role around the certain crazy people that I had to be around.
But you enjoy those people.
But I haven't had to travel across the country with those people either.
You totally would, dude.
But I would, and I would probably end up killing them like I would kill Zach Galifianakis. So that never needs to happen.
I remember when you were on a road trip with some people who weren't nearly as bad, and you slipped out. You pulled a Batman, slipped out, and bought a plane ticket and got away from them.
Oh, I sure did. Yeah, I was on a road trip from California coming back to Texas, and it wasn't them. I just couldn't spend any more time in the car. That's all. I just had to get the hell out. I actually, where was I? In Flagstaff, Arizona. Yeah, I went and
that would make anybody want to get out of there.
What the hell are you doing there?
I sneaked out in the middle of the night. No one knew.
We got to catch up. You know what? I'm gonna run to the store I saw down the street, and I'll be right back.
I can't eat my fries when I catch up.
Yeah, the guy woke up the next morning and it was like, he went out and told his friends, like, Corey's not here and his bags are gone. I don't know if he was murdered and they packed his stuff up and took it away to take all the evidence, or if he just decided to leave.
Genius. Think about it for a second. Which one do you think?
They got back and they were just kind of like, man, we are too fucking baffled to be angry with you. We don't know what happened. So yeah, I probably could not do this. I'd be angry. But looking at Robert Downey Jr. play the straight man in this just made me laugh so hard, man. I mean, he really cracked me up through the whole thing. He was the only thing that kept me going through even the most unbelievable parts of this movie. And I guess maybe because I've been the Zach Galifianakis character to somebody like my dad, where I've had to see those expressions over and over again. And it reminded me of one of my favorite Looney Tune cartoons too.
Oh, mine too. The Porky Pig and Daffy Duck.
Back when Daffy Duck, before he got so jaded and pissed off.
That is my favorite.
Where he used to be Bugs Bunny. He used to be crazy and goofy and wacky, and he was and Porky Pig was the Daffy Duck character. They had to share a room together. Do you remember this? And Daffy Duck just kept doing everything to piss Porky Pig off that night, and reminded me of that.
Yeah, there's another one where Porky Pig's going on a road trip, and he picks up Daffy Duck as a hitchhiker, and he just constantly.
I remember that one. Yeah.
Oh wow.
There's all kinds
so this film literally ripped that off, huh?
It felt like that. Yeah.
If this film had been 5 minutes long, it probably would have been at least
and it would have worked.
Hey, to be fair, those Looney Tune cartoons were 6 minutes long.
Oh,
that's right. It would have been a golden classic.
But also, I mean, everything that these guys are saying is completely true. I mean, Zach Galifianakis he can play the man-child character very well, but I think either people overwrite that character for him, or maybe they let him take it too far. Because when Robert Downey Jr. has realistic reactions to this guy's stupidity, he just says the dumbest things. Where nobody, even somebody as dumb as he is, would know better.
It seemed like the editing was kind of bad. Like they'd have a joke that would fall flat, and it would just suddenly cut. And because of all these quick cuts in between, it was like gag that were just kind of stitched together. And in doing this, it passed up on the opportunity to have some depth in these characters. And there was times I saw where it could do that, and just didn't.
Well, that's the thing. The movie does work in chunks. This is Todd Phillips who did The Hangover
and
Old School. And I think The Hangover is probably the movie that had the best the narrative that strung everything along. Everything else is works in bits and pieces.
The Hangover had realistic situations throughout the movie. Like everything that happened, it's like, okay, sure, none of this would happen to somebody. All this would not happen to somebody all in one weekend, but all these things could happen. You could believe it, and you could see a pattern. Like they had it mapped out how things were going to go.
Plus, nobody acted incredibly outside of the boundaries of the character that were already defined.
Like there's things like, I don't want to say what happens, but there's just something that happens that's so outrageous and against the law where you like, this would end this whole thing.
That's what brought me down later. I was like, man, there's a lot going on here that I can swallow, but as nasty as that sounds,
I was just irritated
that part right
and
there,
unamused by the first half of this film. The entire second half is hateful garbage to me. It really is.
Damn.
They just turned Robert Downey Jr. character suddenly. You're like, you know what? I think I like you after all.
Yeah.
For no reason at all. There's no reason. You say he acts normally to him. I say bullshit. He doesn't act normally towards him at all. At first he does, even past the bounds of decency, because you're like, why are you riding with this scumbag? Why don't you get the fuck out of there and take any other solution? But then there's that point, like, wait, suddenly he likes him now. He's being nice to him. For what reason? And things even get worse from there. He keeps acting worse. Robert Downey Jr.'s like, this is fucking retarded. And including what y'all are talking about, the big illegal thing, you're like, yeah, that's a little past the bounds of reality. I'd like to say to you right now, when did they cross back into America? Oh, where were the 100 or so cars that would have been following?
I know, dude.
Just saying.
I know.
Yeah, no, I believe me.
It would have looked like the end of the Blues Brothers.
No, I know what I know what you're saying. There's a lot of things that just don't make sense in this, but yet, like I said, I'll wrap up mine because I'm gonna give you a chance to just jump on me. I know I did laugh at the movie. I mean, where something like, I think for you guys, you remember that movie Step Brothers?
Sure.
I think that this is probably that movie that I despise that film. I think that movie for me is what this movie probably is for you guys, because it's just it's hard to take these kind of characters and it reads different with everybody. I'm talking about these man-child movies, because there is a point where that character is either going to remain funny to you or, depending on who he's interacting with, or he's just going to be the most annoying character in the world. And for me, Robert Downey Jr. was there to balance that off. And I can see a lot of people hating this movie, and I wouldn't blame them. But I got enough hard laughs in it that I'm gonna give it a low matinee.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be in a minority here, but yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, like I said, except for the other critic I was sitting next to, it seemed most of the audience was enjoying themselves. But we all know how that goes at these.
Oh, man, it's a free screening. Come on,
exactly.
You know?
But I don't know. It's one of those films I can't tell anymore with these type of comedies. I really can't. And I know that for me, like I said earlier, this was hitting on several of the targets of things that I consider to be enormously lazy in comedies that are done way too much. I mean, there's nobody here to identify with. There's nobody to like. You can do that if your writing is top notch and your dialogue is sparklingly funny. But if you don't have that, then you've just got a shitty fucking movie. I thought this was some old bullshit all the way through.
Damn. Well, I would want to go last so I could split the difference because I agree with both of y'all. I mean, I did get some laughs out of it. I can see why people were enjoying it. But Cyrus, everything you say is absolutely true. I can't argue with you.
Yeah, that's why I said I relate. You know, everybody loves Step Brothers, but I didn't get it.
And
I didn't love Step
It
Brothers.
really was probably like the biggest fault, and you nailed it. Is like there's nobody to identify with. And you know, as much as you think you're gonna identify with Robert Downey Jr., the fact that he sticks around for it breaks the connection. And he gets angry, but not enough to really do something about it. And then later, what happens? Like the first half of the movie, I just thought, you know what, this is kind of a low matinee. But by the second half, I'm like, no, this is a rental, and that's why, it's a rental.
Robert Downey Jr.'s character seems like, from what you guys are telling me, like he's willing to go through all this shit. So it kind of makes you think this guy's a fucking idiot too. He's no different than the guy he's traveling with because he's putting up with it.
He's desperate, but it seems like there should be a point where he should stop and think of a new way, and it wouldn't take that much.
Okay, before we talk about anything, has anybody ever wondered what's under that beard? Zach Galifianakis, I don't think I've ever seen him without that beard.
There has to be pictures on that somewhere.
I thought you said what's under that beer. I was like, what? Yeah, my napkin.
Yeah, put my beard down. A coaster.
That sounds like a road trip movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You think there's horns or a bunch of moles or he's got another set of teeth
Yeah.
under there?
I thought the Smurfs lived under there. Smurf Village. That's where they relocated.
Yeah, he's housing some squirrels or something under there.
Yeah.
I believe if you shave it off, there's nothing.
Just a void.
Yeah,
It's a wormhole to another dimension.
yeah, if we shaved it off, we'd all get sucked into it.
Pretty sure his beard's just there to hold his pot.
Yeah, right. Beard is pod.
In
Yeah.
there like that secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Like it's like
Reaches
Cole
in and pulls out a joint whenever he feels it.
and his drug dealers in there too.
The magical beard of weed.
I think it's like what Cole and I was saying the other day. Like if you actually went into his beard, it would go into like a mansion.
It'd be like the wardrobe in Narnia.
Yeah.
You go in and just keep walking and you're out in the forest.
Doctor Who's
Yeah.
TARDIS.
Yeah,
You know? He just
exactly. Yeah.
can travel through time in Zach Galifianakis' beard.
I should ask him how much it is to rent out his beard so I can like have band practice in there.
Next film party there.
Oh, we can have it in
There
his
you
beard.
go.
You in fact, if you look closely, you'll see a fawn come out of his come out of his beard. Be like, how the fuck did I get here?
Isn't it beautiful?
He just falls
Every
out.
morning
Hey,
at 7 a.m. it just comes out.
I was on my way to a magic castle and I came out of your fucking beard. How did that happen?
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.